Hello, and most welcome to everyone. Hope you had the chance to enter the room. Most welcome to this Green Action Week webinar with the exciting theme Growing Local Food Systems. I am Sara Nilsson. I am the Green Action Week coordinator from SSNC, Swedish Society for Nature Conservation. And as always, I'm extremely happy to be here with our wonderful Green Action Week community. And greetings from Sweden. Here it's spring and the flowers are starting to bloom everywhere and it's lovely. And some of you have been with Green Action Week for a long time, and for some of you, it might be the first time. So that's before we start with our wonderful 4 speakers we have for today. I also want to share a few words shortly about what is Green Action Week and how can you participate. But first of all, I also want to say that today, actually, we are more than 120 registered for today from more than 24, at least from 24 countries. So this is really a global community. And you are most welcome to introduce yourself in the chat with your name, the country you come from, and the organization you represent, if you represent an organization. And of course, you can rename yourself as well in this meeting with your name, organization, and country. So yes, before we kick off this session with our 4 wonderful speakers, I want to briefly introduce Green Action Week because, as I said, some of you have been with Green Action Week for many years, but some of you who are in this meeting today might be new. So I want to say, what is it and how can you participate? So Green Action Week is a growing global movement for sustainable consumption. And the more we are, the more we can reach out to. So again, most welcome, new and old participants. Green Action Week. It's a global campaign that promotes sustainable consumption through the theme of sharing community. It's a celebration of creative, practical ways we can support each other and the planet. And every year in October, groups around the world come together to share knowledge, resources, skills, spaces, practical solutions to live more sustainable in this world and build stronger, more resilient communities. And the aim is not only to raise awareness, but also to support real actions and collaborations at community level. And over the years, many organizations have participated in Green Action Week. It's been a global campaign since 2010. And together, we have come to form a community of practice who share knowledge, experience, and learning with each other, globally creating change through connection. And of course, connecting local actions across the world. And we do this in several ways, for example, through knowledge exchanges like this one, and through ongoing conversation in our WhatsApp group, and through sharing experience, tools, and lessons from different campaigns and contexts across the world. And these exchanges helps us to build a collective understanding of what works, what challenges we face, and how we strengthen our impact together. And it's an incredible opportunity to be part of a connected global community. There are a number of exchanges lined up over there, so we will share a link in the chat as well, so you can find out more. And yes, you are most welcome to join. Green Action Week is open to anyone that supports our vision, whether you are part of a group, an organization, a school, or just a person who cares. Your action counts, whether it's big or it's small. And this is how you can do. You host or connect to an activity during the first week of October. You share your action and story with the global community. And if you are on social media, you can hashtag Green Action Week. And you stay connected through webinars and learning exchanges the year around. And we have a starters pack that you can download on the link greenactionweek.org/starterspack. And we have an information session on the 17th of July that you're more than welcome to attend, and where we will tell you even more than we did today. And any questions you have, always welcome to reach out to any of us in the coordination team. It's me from SSNC, And it's also Carmen, who I will hand over to now, and Nat and Steph that you will meet very soon. So again, most welcome to this webinar. And now I hand over to you, Carmen.
Thank you, Sarah. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the session. My name is Carmen, and I am the Sustainable Consumption Coordinator at Consumers International. Currently, I'm based in Brazil, and it's a real pleasure to be here with you today. Green Action Week is very close to my heart because I had the opportunity to experience the campaign from the other side as well, as someone involved in holding and running Green Action Week activities at national level. So I come into this conversation not only with an organizational responsibility, but also with a very personal appreciation of what this campaign can mean in practice. I know how much care, creativity, and local knowledge goes into building these campaigns, and I also know that behind every activity, every event, every partnership, and every report, there are people trying to respond to real challenges in their communities, sometimes with limited resources as well, but with a lot of commitment and imagination. And I think that is one of the most powerful things about Green Action Week as well. It is not just a campaign framework, it is a community of practice. It brings together organizations and people who are testing ideas, lessons. We are always learning from each other, adapting global themes to local realities, and showing that sustainable consumption is not an abstract concept. It is something that can be built through relationships, participation, and collective action as well. So I'm really happy to meet many of you in this new role that I'm in now. And I'm also looking forward from learning from your experiences. And I hope today session is not only useful in terms of information, but also feels like a space where we can recognize each other as people behind the work with our different contexts, motivations, and stories. Thank you all for being here and for the energy you bring into the Green Action Week. I'm very excited to continue this journey with you.
Thank you, Carmen. It's really wonderful to be here today to talk about local food systems. It's such a key topic, and I think it's something that relates to every single person on the planet. We all need food, and we're all facing the dilemma of more and more corporatized, globalized food systems. And what that means, it means air miles on all our food, longer storage time, less nutrition. We don't know how things are being farmed. We don't know what kind of pesticides or waxes or hormones are in there. And so local food systems become more and more important in terms of looking after our health, looking after our communities, keeping food local, keeping economies local as well, not siphoning out the abundance within a community to the 1% sitting very, very far away. And so I'm really excited today to hear from four great speakers around local food systems in different parts around the world. And so first up, we've got Mxolisi, who is also from South Africa, which is wonderful. And they are so we've been having huge storms and they have no power today. So we've managed to kind of put together a little video to share what he was going to share with us today. So I'm going to share that now. No, wait, sorry, but with sound, otherwise it's really not going to help. Uh, okay, so here we have our speakers. And Mxolisi is from Sustaining the Wild Coast in South Africa, and he works with youth development, agroecology, and resilience.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mxolisi Ngongoma from Amadiba in the Eastern Cape. So the place is also known as Bondoland. So even before now, Amadiba people have always been resilient and have developed a strong traditional farming system. Many households continue to practice diversified, small-scale agriculture rather than relying on a single crop. So this includes mixed cropping such as maize, beans, pumpkins, amadumbe, and sweet potatoes. And that's how Amadiba people have been surviving. So now the youth of Amadiba is taken over practicing agroecology. So this is a traditional way of farming. It's nothing new, but because of the modern pressures in the modern society, so people have been moving away from farming, but learning this from the older generation always comes back, because this is how these people have survived, and the youth is starting to realize that this is how they can continue to survive. People here have saved seeds that they continue to plant. So there are traditional indigenous seeds that they have been saving. And these same crops are very strong against, droughts, floods that we have been experiencing now due to climate change. And also there have been some initiatives such as tree planting and outdoor education, whereby these initiatives are also led by the young people of Amadiba, working with schools, ensuring that the children don't only stay in the classroom, but then they go out to experience what is happening in their surroundings. And this has helped them a lot. As you know, that women in Amadiba or in other areas are responsible in making sure that there is food in their homes. So now the cooking gatherings, this is a learning that we cook them in such a way that it is appealing to the young people, to the young minds, because sometimes we tend to say that these foods are for the older people, but then if we cook them in such a way that they smell nice, then young people also like to taste them, and they are good in taste, and not just good in taste, but they are healthy. They are keeping us alive, because nowadays we all know that we eat every day, but we keep on getting sick, every day. It's because of the food that we eat. So and as we can see, we still have elders in the area, and they remain as strong as ever, because this food, there's nutrients, there's health benefits. Yeah, also food, especially healthy food, plays a huge role in the Amadiba, in the Amampondo culture. So because extended families and neighbors share food, they share seeds, even during the difficult times of COVID-19, people here, they never really struggled, because those who did not have good yields, they depended on other people. So people share food, they share everything. So citizen science combines indigenous knowledge with modern tools and helps younger generations adapt to changing conditions. So this helps young people to become, to know their surroundings, to know their environment, so that they become guardians to the current ecosystems that we still have. Because also it gives them skills, because we do participate in global events such as City Nature Challenge and BioBlitz. So community activism has helped preserve agricultural lands, water systems, and sacred cultural spaces, as well as coastal systems. So resistance is not political, but it is about protecting food systems and future generations. So as the next generation is coming after us, we need to make sure that we continue to preserve what we found, because people before us preserved all these natural resources for us. It was not just for them, but they knew that there was a generation coming after them. So this is how people of Amadiba have continued, to be resilient, to resist, a lot of things such as climate change, harmful development, and other things. So thanks a lot.
And that's Mxolisi, and hopefully he has managed to join us still for some Q&A later on. But it's really beautiful to hear about the work that they're doing. He also shared about the youth development work in terms of job creation, especially with young graduates who are unemployed, and how they are now getting more and more into agroecology and food processing, and how there's a whole world of local wealth that is being created there. So next up, we've got Reina de Borja from MASIPAG, who's a farmer-led network working on seed sovereignty and agroecology through research, training, and education. So I'm going to hand over to you, and you can start while I get the presentation going.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, and maybe good afternoon to those who are watching here. So, hello, everyone. I am Reina de Borja from MASIPAG, or Farmer Scientist Partnership for Development. So, just to have a quick introduction, MASIPAG is a farmer-led network of people's organizations, non-government organizations, and scientists who are working towards the sustainable use and management of biodiversity. So for today, I will be sharing the farmer's experience and leadership in practicing and promoting farmer-led agroecology as an approach to achieving food sovereignty. So just so we are in the same footing, the agroecology that MASIPAG farmers practice and promote has 4 dimensions: economic, political, environmental, and sociocultural. So in the next slide, let me give you a short overview on the current context of the Philippine agriculture. So in the Philippines, 7 out of 10 farmers are landless. There's a high poverty incidence among the fisher folks and the farmers, and agriculture is dependent to the middleman system. On the other hand, those farmers who assert their rights, especially the right to land, are often subjected to harassment and red tagging. In the next slide, we will see that MASIPAG is a network which aims to respond to the structural challenges through farmer empowerment. So the network was actually formed in the 1980s as a response to the ill effects of the Green Revolution. So the formation of MASIPAG was led by the progressive farmers who expressed their eagerness to learn rice breeding. So they consider this rice breeding as a pathway to achieving seed sovereignty. So currently, MASIPAG has a total of 2,237 rice collections. So in the next slide, we will see that part of farmers' assertion to regain their control of seeds is that MASIPAG uses the MASIPAG trial farm strategy. So through the trial farm strategy, the farmers are able to collectively select seeds adapted to their localities, and some have already established family level and community level seed banks. In the next slide, we will also see that based on the farmers' observations in the trial farms, organizations have identified varieties and selections that that are resilient and resistant to different effects of the changing climate, and some of which are actually bred by the farmers. And the farmers also understand that their mitigation and adaptation practices, including rice breeding, can only do so much. That's why the farmers also consciously save seeds that they can share to disaster-stricken areas. So seed relief is considered as an essential part in the community rehabilitation after disasters. So the photo here in the right, it shows the provision of the seed relief of Quezon farmers to Pangasinan farmers. So Quezon and Pangasinan are located both in the northern islands of the Philippines. So Pangasinan, province Philippines was hit with 3 consecutive typhoons, and what the Quezon farmers did is that they mobilized themselves and they were able to share 60 kilos of PBB 420. So PBB 420 is a rice selection that is bred by a farmer. So that is really nice now that the farmers are having those kinds of initiatives. But in the next slide, we will also see that aside from rice, farmers also diversify their components. So Naikiling here on the left is from the southern islands of the Philippines, and she plants rice, vegetables, herbs, fruit trees, and also grows livestock in her farm. So through the integration of the different components of this farm, Naikiling's area can sustain itself without relying on the external inputs. Mm, Naikiling is also part of a Kababaihang Nagtataglay ng Pambihirang Lakas or KNBL, which is a women federation based in the southern part of the Philippines. So just like what Mxolisi have shared, KNBL also contributed 300 kilograms of safe and nutritious food for the community members during the height of the COVID pandemic. So these are delivered to the community pantries, which is where people can freely access the food, which is very helpful, especially for the families who are financially challenged during that time. In the next slide, we will also see that MASIPAG farmers do not only put their produce and products in the local markets, but strive to influence the local food systems. So they focus on local marketing and processing, following the people first before profit principle. So this means that farmers ensure food for their family first. The marketing this produce are secondary. So if the farmers do this, they are not forced to produce in-demand products, but focus on how they can ensure first the nutrition of their families. Also, through direct marketing, farmers are able to raise the consumer's awareness and build solidarity with the consumers. So the consumers also understand how the food is produced before it goes to the market. So in this way, the communities can also plan their meals actually accordingly. So this picture on the right shows the resilience of the farmers in the local market amidst the restrictive policies. So in 2014, the Philippine government actually passed the rice tariffication law, which replaced the quantitative import restrictions with tariff. So this caused a dramatic decline on the price of the rice paddies, which endangered the livelihood of the farmers. Despite this, some of the Masipag farmers expressed that they were affected less since they sell milled rice and directly sells their product to the consumers instead of relying to the middleman and the traders. In the next slide, we will also see that Masipag believes that focusing on technical capacities is not enough if we're pushing towards food sovereignty. It should be paired with a strong advocacies. That's why Masipag is also active in advocating for farmers' right to land, to seed, and technology. So the photo here on the right, you will see the farmers from the central island of the Philippines who are actively campaigning against the amendment of the GMO ban ordinance or the genetically modified organism ban ordinance in their areas. So farmers believe they're actively campaigning against this because they believe that this will endanger the local source for safe and healthy food for the communities. And lastly, Masipag also attributes its victories to the strong network and organization. So it stresses the importance of continuous expansion among farmer organizations, and it also forges partnership and alliances among different sectors. So in the last slide, to end this presentation, we would like to leave you with a few key points from this sharing. This first, agroecology, which we have mentioned earlier, has four dimensions serves as a holistic approach to achieving food sovereignty, that the farmer leadership is essential in transforming the current food system. So as we can see here, the farmer are capable of identifying the root problems and the pathway for genuine change. And lastly, that partnership and alliances strengthens our efforts in achieving food sovereignty. So that is a quick introduction of what Masipag Farmers does towards food sovereignty. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Reina. That's amazing. You guys are doing such incredible work, and we're so blown away by the amount of rice varieties there are. So often we think of rice or basmati and full stop, but yeah, you really show us that there's this immense um, range. And so we've gone from kind of more local, small scale food systems to quite large systems. And shortly we'll be moving into indigenous food. Um, but first up, we want to hear from you, the audience, and the participants of this knowledge exchange. So if you can scan this QR code or click the link in the chat. Hannah's going to share the link in the chat, and then we can get some input from you. So if you click the link, it'll open up a Mentimeter slide. And the first question is, what is one indigenous or traditional food from your local area? Let us know if you are having any issues seeing that. I think I might need to share. This doesn't seem to be updating, so I'm going to share a different slide, different screen. Oh, hold on. That is the wrong one. Sorry, my computer crashed just before this, and now all the wrong slides are opening. But please do put your answers in so long about what is one indigenous food in your area. And if you are struggling with the Mentimeter, then pop your answer in the chat. Okay, so we've got Dune spinach as a big one. Lots of people are saying Dune spinach, speckworm. I can hear we have a lot of South Africans in the room. Sea pumpkin, udeg, gudeg. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Indonesia. Sour fig, carrot, beiju, rice-based delicacies, blueberries. Kichadi, ragi. Wonderful. Feels like it would be amazing to do a Green Action Week recipe book with Indigenous foods, where every country brings one recipe from their area, and we can all learn about each other's Indigenous foods. I don't know how we'll cook it if we can't get the ingredients, but it'll be very exciting to see. Okay, and what strengthens local food systems in your community? So if you have any ideas about what strengthens local food systems in your community, so far we've got no thoughts on it. PGS groups, yes. peer guaranteed systems are now coming up big and strong, which is very exciting. Sort of giving space to the organic farmers that come from within the farming groups, which relates a lot to what Reina was talking about now. Access to land, knowledge sharing, very key. So today's knowledge sharing is part of this. And access to land is a really big one because it takes a long time to build land into an arable space to grow. And with that, you actually need some commitment from that you can keep growing that land. Any other thoughts? Then what role does sharing play in food systems where you live? So the theme of Green Action Week is sharing communities, and we've sort of touched on it already around COVID-19, around how sharing has made such a big impact during that time and around food. So yeah, any thoughts around what role sharing plays in food systems where you live? Also heard about seed swapping earlier. It strengthens knowledge. Okay, I see. That's supporting local farmers, local food markets. Indigenous knowledge systems is a really big one. Knowledge sharing, agroecology practices, PGS groups have come up again, affordable options, local street markets, education, gain access to land. Sorry, this is around local food systems being strengthened in communities. And then the role that sharing plays in food systems where you live. It promotes resilience, strengthens knowledge, builds social cohesion. It's sharing of knowledge and practices, building communities. And then seed swapping, yeah, is such a big one. It's so important that we hold seeds within our own systems and keep those indigenous seeds alive. Reignites food culture. It's access to healthier food. Yes, and healthier food is a really big key one to the health of each of us as individuals and as communities. Then finally, so we have these knowledge exchanges every couple months, and I'd like to hear from you if you have any thoughts about the next topic that you would like to explore in the next knowledge exchange. And you can give this some thought. This Mentimeter will stay open, so if you're not ready to answer this now, you can give some thought about, but this is your opportunity to feed into what you want the next knowledge exchange to be about. So sustainable fashion. We have that one coming up, actually. Not the next one, but the following. And this picture looks quite different in the global south and the global north. So it'll be an interesting one to bring in. Plastics is always a big one. Impacts of technology is huge in this current day of AI and everything being done. And it allows us to have these incredible connections across the globe, but has its own impacts. Resilient climate systems, circular economy, taking back power, tech waste. Fantastic. So yeah, keep adding your answers, and the ones that have the most votes will be put forward to the community of practice to vote on. And and then that'll be our next knowledge exchange. Natural medicine. Oh, wonderful. Okay, so next up, we've got Rose Mpofu from Consumer Council Zimbabwe. And she's doing incredible work with My Food is Africa and focusing on Indigenous food and working in communities around Zimbabwe. So, Rose, are you with us? I did see you in the room.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much, Liam.
Excellent. We can hear you.
Morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone in the room. Greetings from Zimbabwe. I'm from the Consumer Council of Zimbabwe. My name is Rosemary Mpofu, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to share with you on the work that we are doing in terms of green action awareness, the green action exchange, knowledge exchange, and trying to bring awareness of the importance of consuming healthy grains, which are mainly traditional. I'll just give you a brief background about how we came about this theme. Historically, the Zimbabwean diet was nutritious and very diverse. But after colonization, most people started moving away from the African cuisines and dishes that made up our traditional food systems in favor of the processed foods, and in some cases, even foreign recipes, diets, and dishes. But there's been a dramatic shift in diet, mainly resulting from the dominance of the Green Revolution agenda and a lack of recognition of the value of indigenous traditional foods in Zimbabwe's agriculture and for Zimbabwe's food systems. So, in order to raise and solidify awareness among Zimbabwe's traditional foods, traditional seeds, dishes, diets, cuisines, Consumer Council of Zimbabwe, CCZ, is actively spearheading initiatives to revive indigenous foods and local diets by encouraging consumption of native nutritious foods. The initiative supports local food systems and cultural heritage to counter high rates of nutrition-related diseases. So in collaboration with partners such as the Participatory Ecological Land Use Management, whom we call PELAM, and also in alignment with the Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa, through the My Food is African campaign, CCZ's initiative is being championed by consumer action clubs, whom we call the CACs. These are members of Consumer Council of Zimbabwe. So the shift in diets has taken a toll on the health at both ends of the malnutrition spectrum, which is 26.6% of children under 3 years of age are suffering from stunted growth due to poor dietary diversity, while 35% of the adults, mainly women, and 12% of men are also overweight, or to the contrary, they can also be obese. So our campaign is advocating for climate resilient agroecology, sustainable seed systems, and policies favoring local consumption over industrial systems, aiming to strengthen food sovereignty among African communities. The campaign aims to increase awareness of traditional diets. It also encourages the consumption of local crops, millet, for example, and also sorghum, legumes, among many others, even indigenous wild fruits such as the smelly berries. We also have baobab. We have many other, wild fruits that people are being encouraged to consume, as they have been seen to have a lot of nutrients. For example, vitamin C, for example, they have five, a lot that is there in those wild indigenous foods. And we are influencing government policies for sustainable farming. Our campaign also focuses on seed for sovereignty, that is protecting and preserving and also exchanging indigenous and farmer-saved seeds which are seen as critical for biodiversity and climate resilience. So how we are doing it, we gather the consumer action clubs in every province. We have about 10 provinces and 64 districts in Zimbabwe. And so we have these cooking demonstrations where the ladies come with various recipes. They cook, like they will have their main meals comprising of starch, which would be maybe finger millet, sorghum, or any other, small grain. Then we also have the legumes. Sometimes they'll have sweet potatoes, the yams. They'll also have the sugar beans. They will have the protein dishes like meat, and also the vitamins. We will have dried vegetables, like the wild vegetables. There's quite a wide variety of wild vegetables which can be found in the forest, and people can gather those. They are highly, highly nutritious, and it is always recommended that we consume those. So they do a lot of recipes. Some of them they use, instead of using cooking oil, the usual cooking oils, they'll use peanut butter. They can use lots of other wild traditional foods. And there are demonstrations where people will display their food after cooking it, and making sure that it's appetizing, and people can have a variety and get to taste the food. So usually these demonstrations comprise of about 50 people, sometimes even up to 100, and we always make sure that everyone gets to taste the food. And that's the most interesting part, because people will have really made a big effort. We even go to the extent of having juices made, like from a fruit called masau, baobab juices, and many other juices from the wild fruits. And there's also dessert, and the dessert is very usually to be maybe watermelon, and the other, the wild fruits. It's mainly the wild fruits, it's mainly the wild vegetables, the road runner chickens, the goat's meat, and these healthy foods. Because when you Google them, it's amazing to see the richness within these local grains, the traditional grains, and the wild fruits and vegetables. It's amazing. It's actually medicinal. Some of it is medicinal, and it's been proven, scientifically. There are many studies that have been carried out that support this this conclusion. So overall, the initiative has made a very positive impact on promoting indigenous foods, and giving a shift to the local diets in Zimbabwe. The main problem that we had in the past was that the young people did not appreciate the local traditional foods, because of the way it was being processed. The processing was not mechanized. So you would find that there would be grains of stones or dust, soil within the local grains. And so children did not like to eat that. It would be stony. Chewing on a stone is very hard. It's painful. So children didn't like it. But now there's a shift to moving towards the mechanization, developing of technology for the processing of these grains, so that they become more marketable, they become more appreciated by both the young and the old. So these are just pictures of some of the foods that are being made. And as you can see, it's really a huge variety. And this is not everything. There is a lot more that we have not shown on the pictures, because the presentation is only 6 minutes. But I want to thank you for this opportunity to share and to speak on this platform. There's a lot that we are doing, and every member of staff is very keen to attend these cooking demonstrations, because they are so exciting, so encouraging, so educative, from our Consumer Action Club women. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rose. It's very exciting to hear about the work you're doing. And Actually, if all the speakers, please share your social links in the chat so that people can follow what you're doing. Next up, we have Rinki Sharma from Consumer Voice. And Rinki is talking to us about connection that food brings today and the inclusion of gender. Over to you, Rinki.
Hi, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm so excited to be a part of this and listening to all the speakers so far. It actually enriched my knowledge, and so happy to be here as a part of Knowledge Exchange series. I'm going to talk about that how food actually helped our campaigns in bringing not only people together, but how it helped us in bringing women up front and coming out of their inhibitions and how they became an integral part of our campaigns. So when we talk about the food, okay, let me not about the food. Let me start with how actually it started, my own experience. So we started our campaigns by reaching out to farmers. Uh, I used to go to various villages. What I found that all the men were there. Where were the women? Women were not there. I was so surprised. Why women are not coming? And if they are coming, they were sitting far behind. So I realized that still in India, even in urban villages, I'm even not talking about the rural villages, women are not considered to be a equal participants. And I observed that, it was so awkward for me that as a woman, I was standing in the front and I was talking to all the farmers. They were men, and all the women were sitting far behind. I was I was very surprised. Why? Uh, in what kind are we living? I realized, this gap has to be filled. How I can fill this gap? And then I uh, discussed with my team, and we came on a conclusion. Why not talk about the food? Because women are so connected with food. Okay, let's imagine whenever I think about food, I think about my mom in the kitchen. Whenever I go and browse about, food, kitchen, always women. If you're going to search on Google and you're going to search about Indian agriculture, you will see 99% of picture of male farmers. Even today, women are working as a laborers. They don't have equal participation. And when we reached out to women, they asked us to organize a separate workshop for them. So in the picture, you can see all women, hardly a man, one man in this picture who is helping, but all women, women inclusive. We started talking about food. We started talking about how food is bridging the gap. We were surprised. We were surprised to see that women were coming out of their inhibition. They were talking about food. They were talking about sustainable practices. And I realized it all starts from home, actually. It all starts from our own home and then it goes out. It goes out in society. So it's not just about the food. It's about how we are bringing people together, how we are treating people equally, and how we are promoting women and young girls to be a part of the campaigns, to come out with the ideas, to come out with a lot of practices. And I realized that even the old women, they were so happy talking about the sustainable consumption practices. And not only from, if in this picture which Netly has just showing kitchen garden, started from kitchen, our own kitchen. So why we are not connecting people with the food? Why we are not asking women and girls to talk about the food practices and their contribution to the overall sustainable consumption? So our experience in dealing with the agriculture sector and with the farmers gave us this idea to bring the food conversation in each campaign, each workshop. And we started organizing exclusively women focused campaigns, because we truly believe if you're going to educate a woman in the family, you're going to educate the whole family. And it's a very powerful tool. And this is going to be a multiplier effect. And it actually worked, because when we go in those areas, we meet people, we meet with young girls. Those women really, even today, they come to us and tell us, in your workshop, we came, we learned about this, we exchanged knowledge, and it is actually helping us. Be it a plastic pollution, be it about the energy efficiency, be it about the circular economy practices, everywhere they came out, they contributed a lot, and still this is going on. So, what we believe is that food, talking about food, it's a great connector. Food practices, how food is actually helping us in sustainable consumption, how cooking food and utilizing the leftovers in the kitchen, how using mud pots or traditional kind of practices, all coming from the women. Although they are still not the decision makers, but they are a great contributor to the society. They are teaching their young kids not to use plastic bottles. They are teaching their young kids how to reduce the plastic waste or kind of a waste. So I believe that food helped us in connecting people, and also helped us in giving the confidence to women to come out of their inhibition, talking about the medicinal plants, talking about lot of practices they are doing at their home, and connecting each other, because they were not doing that. It gave them a lot of confidence, and this we can still witness when we talk to them. They feel very happy. So I believe that food is a great connector, and it helped us a lot. And we will continue our efforts to focus on women inclusive workshops in our all campaigns, because we realize that it gave them a tool, and this is going to be a very strong tool onwards as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rinki. That's, yeah, a really powerful thing to bring to the table is how food is a connector. And that is the case in all cultures, it connects the family around the table, and it brings communities together. Very often we meet over a dinner. And I think of different cultures as well, where I've been to visit someone and the mom's like, eat, 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 eat. It doesn't matter if you full, because it's their
So,
way of welcoming you in.
just fun fact, I don't know about other countries, but in India, when you go to see a girl for a marriage purpose, the first thing they ask, oh, do you know how to cook? Can you cook for us? So it's a very important factor for even for selecting a bride also in India. But they don't
Mm.
know that if you are bringing a girl who knows cook, you also give her power, to contribute to decision making, to sustainable consumption. Women power is a power which can move, such campaigns. And we truly believe in educating the women and girls, and food is a great connector. That is what we believe.
Thank you, Rinki. Yes, and it's so important we have all the voices at the table. Women, youth, people with disabilities, elders, men, we all need to be at the table to make this change. I just want to quickly share around. So at the start, Sarah shared about Green Action Week campaign, which happens in October. But Green Action Week has a community of practice and it's growing and it's getting stronger. And it's really beautiful because it's a sharing space where I just feel so honored to be part of this community because it's a global community that covers the whole world, and everyone just brings their hearts to the space. And there's so much positivity, and everyone's so willing to share and show up and join the space. So we've got a couple events coming up. We've got the youth-led webinar on the 3rd of June. And then we've got another knowledge exchange on the 17th. So Hannah's going to share the links to register for those next events. Please do register and join us for those next ones. And right, so we've got a small bit of time for Q&A, and I see there's more Indigenous foods that have been shared there. We can email them to everyone. I think it'll be really interesting for everyone to see what those are. Can I ask everyone to turn on their cameras just so that we can have a group shot? It's always nice to see the people in the room, and I know we're often sitting quietly with our cameras off, but it's so wonderful to see the faces of who's joined and have a little photo. And while they're turning the cameras on, while everyone's turning their cameras on, if anyone has any burning questions for any of the participants or the speakers, yes, we will have a few minutes for that shortly. So lovely to see all your faces. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, maybe put up your hand, and then we'll ask Hannah also just to share a couple words about the youth webinar before we close. So I know we're kind of short on time, but I'm sure we can at least have a question. All right, while you're thinking about it, Hannah, would you like to share about the youth webinar?
Sure. Thanks, Natalie. And hello, everyone. And thank you to the amazing speakers for sharing your stories today with us. We've got the next youth webinar coming up on the 3rd of June. We're very, very excited. The theme for this one is Young Change Makers in Action. So we'll have 4 speakers from different parts of the world sharing how they are working towards collective action in their communities. Please register. We'd love to have you there.
Very exciting. The last youth webinar was so wonderful. I left just smiling the biggest grin. So I'm looking forward to the next one. Yeah, it's very inspiring to, and again, bringing in that other voice. So Rinki was talking about bringing in women, really important to bring in youth as well. Okay, are there any questions before we wrap up? Anyone want to ask any of our amazing speakers a question before we close?
Sorry that I have to ask, but I just wanted to. I can't find my hand to lift.
That's fine. Go for it.
Is it possible for us to get knowledge exchange on small technologies, household technologies for processing indigenous fruits like local grains? Is it possible to
That's a very
share
interesting
that?
one. Yes, let's put that to, we'll add that in for the vote. That sounds like a great suggestion, Rose, and a nice continuation from this, because obviously food is a massive topic. You know, we talk about local food systems as if it's one thing, but it's huge. I mean, I think every speaker today could have spoken for hours, and it wouldn't have been enough because there's so much actually to cover. So we can certainly kind of delve into things deeper. Okay, well, if there's no other burning questions, then we are just on time, actually. So I'll just say thank you very, very much to everyone for joining today. And thank you all the speakers for bringing your wisdom and your knowledge and your experience to the space and your time, because all the speakers are doing this as a share. And that's a big deal that people bring themselves and they share their time and their knowledge. Just because they care. So thank you. Sarah, is there anything you would like to add?
I just want to add as well, thank you. So wonderful. Thank you everyone for joining. Thanks to all the speakers. And yeah, I'm so inspired as always after our knowledge webinar. So from me, just a big thank you and looking forward to seeing you soon again.